You want to sue the Catholic Church?
We're just filing a motion, but yes.
You think it's that important?
Yes, I do.
Because obviously the church will fight us very hard on this, which won't go unnoticed by our subscriber base. 53% of them are Catholic.
I think they'll be interested.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, they're kids, you know. Guilt, shame. And most of these kids come from tough neighborhoods. Nobody wants to admit this kind of thing. So you're screwed on the time limit. And even if you argue your way around that, the charitable immunity statute caps damages at 20 grand.
20 grand for molesting a child?
That is the way the system is set up. Yes, the church is tough. So your best shot is to try these cases in the press.
Okay, well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me in today. And I want you to know that you have the full cooperation of my organization, SNAP.
How many members are in your organization, Phil?
We had 11 at our last chapter meeting. 10. Karen just moved.
You had a woman in your group?
Of course it was a woman. They don't discriminate, not when it comes to abuse. And this has nothing to do with being gay. What this is priests using the collar to rape kids. Kids, boys and girls. I was 11, and I was preyed upon by Father David Hawley in Worcester. And I don't mean prayed for, I mean preyed upon. Are any of you Catholic?
I was raised Catholic. Now I go to my wife's Presbyterian church.
I'm lapsed. I go to church with my grandmother sometimes.
It's safe to say we were all raised Catholic, but now.
Not so much. Okay. Well, let me tell you. When you're a poor kid from a poor family, religion counts for a lot. And when a priest pays attention to you, it's a big deal. He asks you to collect the hymnals or take out the trash, you feel special. It's like God asking for help. And so maybe it's a little weird when he tells you a dirty joke, but now you got a secret together. So you go along. Then he shows you a porno mag. And you go along. And you go along. And you go along until one day he asks you to jerk him off or give him a blowjob. And so you go along with that too, because you feel trapped, because he has groomed you. How do you say no to God, right? See, it is important to understand that this is not just physical abuse, it's spiritual abuse too. And when a priest does this to you, he robs you of your faith. So you reach for the bottle or the needle. Or if those don't work, you jump off a bridge.
And there was this nun, Sister Barbara, and she ran this group for kids from troubled families.
Where was that?
St. Ambrose in Dorchester.
Okay.
She's the one who introduced me to Father Shanley. He was a street priest. Long hair, very hip. He invited me to his apartment in Back Bay.
Where in Back Bay?
Beacon Street.
Beacon, okay.
Are you from here?
No, I grew up in Ohio, but my mom's from Southie.
Okay, so you get it. I'd never even seen Back Bay.
So, what happened on that first visit, Joe?
Well, he was very nice at first. Very funny, very casual. And I think he could tell I was gay. So he showed me this mobile he had, like over a baby's crib, but with different words. Homosexual, transsexual, bisexual.
Okay, and did you know you were gay at that time, Joe?
Yeah. But that wasn't information I was sharing with anybody, not in Dorchester.
Okay. So, what happened after he showed you the mobile?
Well, I was a little freaked out. I think he could tell. So he said, you know what'll help is if we play strip poker. Of course, I lost. And things went on from there.
Can you tell me specifically what happened?
Specifically, he molested me.
Joe, I think that language is going to be so important here. We can't sanitize this. Just saying molest isn't enough. People need to know what actually happened.
We should probably get these to go.
Right.
He said it was a way to make me more comfortable with my body.
So what happened after that?
Well, he took off his clothes and he said, I've been so depressed, but maybe you can cheer me up and give me a blowjob. Classic guy.
And did you?
Yeah. I know what you must be thinking. Like, why would I ever do that to some creepy guy who's 30 years older than me? But what we have to understand is that this is the first time in my life that someone told me that it was okay to be gay. And it was a priest.
So you had oral sex? Did you have intercourse?
Yes. Not then, but later. It really messed me up. I'm sober now, but that was the beginning of it all. It's very confusing, you know? To be introduced to sex like that, and then to be attracted to men, I'm sorry. I knew I was gonna do this. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's okay, Joe, it's okay.
And of course, there is a church right there. And a playground.
Joe, did you ever try and tell anyone?
Like a priest.
Look, I told you guys these are tough cases. Most of these folks, they just want some acknowledgement of what happened. We got them a sit down with the bishop and a little dough, and that's the best they could hope for.
Well, certainly the best the priest could hope for.
No, the church promised to take the priests out of circulation.
Yeah, did you follow up on that?
Do you guys need anything else?
Yes. Why aren't there any records? I was down at the courthouse earlier. There aren't any records of any of these settlements.
We dealt directly with the church. We would draw up a demand letter and send it to the chancery.
You never filed anything in court?
It's a private mediation.
So, this is just you and the archdiocese lawyers in a room.
Correct.
Anyone else?
Occasionally, the church would bring in another defense attorney to help out.
These people, making the rest of us feel like we don't belong. But they know better than us. Look at how they treat their children. Mark my words, Mr. Resendez. If it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to abuse one.
I think if you really want to understand the crisis, you need to start with the celibacy requirement. That was my first major finding. Only 50% of the clergy are celibate. Now, most of them are having sex with other adults. But the fact remains that this creates a culture of secrecy that tolerates and even protects pedophiles.
So you believe the church is aware of the extent of this crisis?
Oh, absolutely. After the first major scandal in Louisiana, Tom Doyle, the secretary canonist for the papal nuncio, co-authored a report warning pedophile priests were a billion-dollar liability.
We've got two stories here. We've got a story about degenerate clergy, and we've got a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry. Now, which story do you want us to write? Because we're writing one of them.
I already sent you a list of names.
What are you talking about? To whom?
The Globe, years ago. After the Porter case, I got plenty of calls. I had 20 priests in Boston alone, but I couldn't go after them without the press. So I sent you guys a list of names, and you buried it.
We need to focus on the institution, not the individual priests. Practice and policy. Show me the church manipulated the system so that these guys wouldn't have to face charges. Show me they put those same priests back into parishes time and time again. Show me this was systemic, that it came from the top down.
Sounds like we're going after law.
We're going after the system.
Okay.
Could I ask you a few questions?
Go ahead, dear.
We spoke to several men who knew you when they were boys at St. John the Baptist in Haverhill. They told us you molested them, is that true?
Sure, I fooled around, but I never felt gratified myself.
Right. But you admit to molesting boys at St. John the Baptist?
Yes, but as I said, I never got any pleasure from it. That's important to understand.
Right. But can you tell me where and how you fooled around with these boys?
I want to be clear. I never raped anyone. There's a difference. I should know.
How would you know?
I was raped. Mitch, are you telling me that the Catholic Church removed legal documents from that courthouse?
Look, I'm not crazy. I'm not paranoid. I'm experienced. Check the docket. You'll see. They control everything.
Our family is rooted in the church. Our desire is to protect the holy orders. Even in the midst of our agony over the 7 boys in our family who have been violated. 7, Robbie. 7 boys. It was suggested we keep silent. We did not question the authority of the church 2 years ago, but since Father Gagan is still in his parish, Mitchie sent it to law, and law did shit. It's time. They knew, and they let it happen. 2 kids. Okay? It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us. We gotta nail these scumbags. We gotta show people that nobody can get away with this. Not a priest or a cardinal or a freaking pope.